Hey, Rich Salon, how are you today?
Michael, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being on the Talk to Me podcast. Before we get started, I want to thank you for listening and watching. Of course, you can see more interviews in the interview or podcast channel on the Michael Angelo Caruso YouTube channel. And we have the most interesting guests. We've had a guy that walked away from a plane crash. I've had astronauts on the show, of course, authors, salespeople, professional speakers that really are good at what they do. My guest today is Rich Salon. He's really good at HR. That's spelled HR, everybody. Rich is a friend of mine, a longtime friend. We belong to Rotary together. He's been living HR for 25 years, and he works closely with business leaders to strengthen the employee to employer relationship. You're an HR coach these days, correct?
Correct. HR consulting and whatever I can do to help organizations.
His highlights, career highlights and recognition include being named Hero of the Economy by CNN for work performed at Circuit City. He's helped leaders achieve superior employee engagement ratings and nicknamed Chief Engagement Officer at a major corporation. His employers have included the Home Depot, where he was regional HR manager, Circuit City, Penske, and Lowe's. Perhaps his best accreditation comes from a guy who referred to him as the HR guy, and that's become your new moniker. Rich is also the author of several books, including his newest, which is, you have it there, yeah?
It is called the 1 minute jerk at work.
The 1 minute jerk at work. I assume it's how not to be a jerk at work and rather than how to be a jerk at work.
You're absolutely right. But more importantly, people at work should stop tolerating jerk behavior. Ah,
Yeah,
it's done, and it
100%.
helps people do that.
100%. And I think people are somehow more aggressive and less filtered than they were in the past. And they're bringing it to work with them. I want to get back to the book in just a minute. On our way to the book, again, I'd like to talk about some high flying HR issues. HR issues.
Yeah,
The first of which is the misunderstanding, perhaps, that HR is mostly about staffing. Most people think that HR closes their doors and they go to work on hiring people, replacing people, planning, the next 5 years in terms of in terms of the team. But you say that's not their number one charge.
it's not. It's not. The HR, human resources, number one charge is helping leaders become better leaders. Why? When a leader becomes better, they take better care of their team. They put a premium on employee training, employee development. The level of career fulfillment, employee engagement raises, problems are solved more rapidly, and the business benefits. If
Yeah.
it's top line, if it's bottom line, happier employees will become more productive. More productive translates to better business results. So it's that simple. Help leaders become better leaders.
But they also put the ads on the website and the job recruiters to bring people in. How would you describe the traditional mix? 80-20, 50-50, staffing, improving leadership through training, and so on.
Gosh, I'm sure I think we spend at least 20% helping leaders, and through informal coaching, through career advice, giving them feedback, making them feel important. If I think of any one of the functions, be it staffing, employee relations, compensation, benefits, partnership, that helping leaders become better leaders is by far but the biggest part of it. And even the people in non-leadership facing roles, when the people, the benefits people and the comp people, they also work with the leaders too. How can I help you? Here, let me help clarify this.
Yeah.
And the entire HR team is dedicated and devoted to helping leaders become better leaders. Just because it's the easiest way to see results improve.
Yeah. Well, a business's main raison d'etre, as the French would say, reason for existence is to turn a profit if it's a for-profit company.
Mhm.
And the only way to do that is being better than the competition. That means better quality leadership, better quality work environment, better productivity, all of which can be improved through training, which falls under the HR umbrella.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I agree 100%. And that is their competitive advantage. And I know
Yeah,
that sounds like a cliche. We've heard it 1,000 times, but the people are the biggest competitive advantage of any organization. In fact, if anybody attended mergers and acquisitions training, why do companies merge with other companies? Why do companies acquire others? It's not because of the name on the door. It's not their business results. It's the people that they're going to inherit. They're going to inherit a group of winners, high performing team members. That gets them excited versus
yeah.
their return, their bottom line. If they're not, if they're not inheriting a strong workforce, a highly engaged workforce, the acquisition target may not seem nearly as ripe.
Yeah, and I would say it's HR's responsibility, perhaps more than any other department, to marry those two cultures as quick as possible so that we can all start rowing at the same time. That's often the case when two companies come together, that they've come from, well, there's two types of work cultures, the culture of love and the culture of fear. And if
Mhm.
one of those comes from a culture of fear and the other one comes from a culture of love, there's some adjustment to be made.
Absolutely, absolutely, with a carrot and a stick. And yeah, cultures do have to come together, and you'll rarely have two identical cultures. I've worked in the same industry for one company that was command and control, but trying to convert to a servant leadership model after
Yep,
being in business for about 50 years, versus another company in the same industry who opened for business under an empowerment culture
yep.
that said go go go, do as much as you can as fast as you can. We're only going to pull you back when necessary, but go go go. So two
Command and control may be self-defining for some people, but for those of you that don't know the term,
uh,
the actual language comes from the military. Rich, correct me if I'm wrong. You've got ranks in the military, and if the general tells everybody what to do, you don't question it, you just do it. He's in charge, so he will command and control you. Also famous in command and control, Rich, the information is top down. Information and feedback doesn't flow up the pipe quite so easily.
Correct. Command and control still exists. It should still exist in our nation's military, probably
Yeah,
every nation's military, in our police, and our fire EMS systems,
yeah.
because that's danger. And just do it and do it now. But it's actually a concept that probably we believe it started in the Roman Empire that still has pockets today of corporate America. So within corporations, command and control still lives a little bit, and maybe this year, maybe next year is the year that we don't hear any traces of it, because it really, the command and control is the leadership style of a fax machine. Okay, got to move on. So there's other better leadership and culture models out there that are
I
more
flew home
conducive,
from, oh, sorry.
but that are more conducive to get people excited about coming to work and keeping them on the job, keeping them with their employer, like the servant leadership model. Incredibly popular these days.
Sure. I flew home from Virginia yesterday. I found out that the TSA is command and control. I'm pretty sure they have ranks. A guy told me that the guy over there is the major. I didn't know they were ranked like that. I
Hmm.
assume they have a captain, maybe even sergeants. I don't know. It is a government entity, Travel and Safety Administration. Is that what TSA stands for?
Uh, I think so.
Let's say yes. It's my
Okay.
podcast. I'm saying, yeah, travel and
I think
safety
it's
is so,
I think it's transportation.
oh, transportation. Thank you. Uh, and so I was surprised at that. But then again, it is a government agency. Maybe they adopted the military model. Maybe it's appropriate for them. But I do agree that the top down is outdated. It comes from the military. I think even although it goes back to Romans, I think it was mostly came into business after World War II, where big companies would adopt it as the best way to go. And then, of course, as we became more evolved, we realized that information that flowed up was valuable, and that the communication should be and could be going in both directions.
Absolutely. I think after World War II, it was known as the only leadership style and management style that really existed. Not just the way it,
Yeah,
not just
yeah.
the way it worked. And you went to work and you did what you were told by your superior. And you didn't have and you didn't have a lot of government protections back then as well. So you did your job just to stay on the job and bring home a paycheck for your family. Well, over time, a lot of employment labor laws have been created to protect the worker. So the workers sought this thing called, satisfaction and get find happiness in their work since they're going to spend 130,000 hours easily over the course of their lifetime at work. So
I
yeah, it's been a big cultural shift, and they still find that there are pockets of command and control in corporations. Just do this, and top down, and just do it so you don't risk your job. But the better corporations use an empowerment model. They use a collaboration model. The servant leadership model is very simple. You keep everyone around you going. You take care of everybody. What do you need from me? What do you need from me? What can I get you next? The people that you work for, you set the table. In fact, it's kind of reverses the shift. I, as a servant leader with my team members who are direct reports to me, I'm very clear on day one, you do not work for me. Okay? Make it very clear. You need something, I'm going to get it for you. You need feedback, I'm going to give it to you. You need to bust down some barrier, I'm gonna help you. So who really works for whom
yeah.
in that example? And they get my point real quick. It's what do you need from me? I take care of them, make sure they have everything they need. Oh, then I'll go to work on my stuff for the day.
Okay.
That's
Very
simple.
good. I know you're also a believer. We talked about, the urban legend that HR is mostly involved with staffing, when in fact they do a lot with training and corporate improvement. You're also a big believer that this old belief that it's mostly about employee engagement, which always was kind of an empty phrase. What does employee engagement really mean? Is really more focused now on career fulfillment. We want employees that are getting something from the job. They're going to stay with us to move up and not leave us so that they can move up.
You're right.
Tell us
You're
more
right.
about this idea of career fulfillment. What is this shift and how is that manifesting in the workplace today?
Yeah, around 2002, our workforce went from the shift from employee satisfaction to this thing called employee engagement. And employee engagement was all the rage, and it's it basically states that do the employees have the tools to do their job? Do they have the resources? If do they understand what the work they do, how that fits in the company's objectives? And if they have all that, they're likely going to give some extra effort, discretionary effort, to their employer. And that's about so everything we've said just now is about how they feel about their employer. Well, the experts continue to tell us that only a third of the workforce is actively engaged with their work, and that hasn't changed over the 22, 23 years. And on top of that, there's people that are tired, tired of the term. They think employee engagements, it's old, it's tired, and it needs to be retired. There's even executives who've actually pointed the finger at HR and said, "You're hiding behind HR, behind this concept of employee engagement. Well, what do you mean? It's like, well, last week you said, you can do that, but that's not consistent with our model of employee engagement here at Acme Widget Corporation. Or you can do that, but it might cost you a couple of points on your opinion survey next year. But it's your call. Again, hiding behind employee engagement. A lot of people outside of HR, really, they're sick of the term. And career fulfillment's always been there. And we've said career fulfillment eats employee engagement for breakfast or eats it for lunch. Pick which one works best for
Pick a
you.
meal.
Pick a meal. There you go. And career fulfillment, it's deeper. It's deeper. Do you find personal meaning? Are you helping others? Are you seeing work as your family?
Yeah.
It's a much higher level. You can be engaged. You can show all the signs of being engaged, but not fulfilled. And fulfillment is what helps people grow. It helps them do the best job they possibly can. They're more invested. So if I was a betting person, I see a shift. I predict a shift going from employee engagement to career fulfillment. It makes it much too much sense. How long is it going to take to make this shift nationwide
Yeah.
to where we're using the term career fulfillment instead of employee engagement? Yeah, I don't have that. I don't have that answer in these 5 minutes.
I have a confession. I have not been HR friendly for most of my life. And the reason, I have a legitimate reason. I don't know about the other clowns, but I have a legitimate reason is I'm a creative person.
Mm.
And so when I worked sales for some time in the telecommunications industry, and my boss said, do whatever you want as long as you get the job done. So that was music to my ears. I'm gonna try innovative, perhaps non-traditional ways to bring revenue into this company. But I found out right away there were guardrails on that whole, do whatever you want as long as you get the job done. It was like more like this, it wasn't a 5-lane highway, it was a 2-lane highway. And those 2 lanes were already very familiar to me. And there's an old saying about conformity, which is really, really one of the things that HR, you might argue with me about this, and I'd welcome the discussion, that HR needs everybody to be kind of on the same page of the hymn book. Otherwise, it's a Wild West. There's an old saying about conformity, Rich, that when you conform, everybody likes you except you.
Mhm.
And that's the way I found myself in sales. I'm like, well, I finally am working with a company that allows me to be me in the sales role. And I found out very quickly they didn't want me to be me. They wanted me to do the job under their guidelines, uh, and then be happy with that as if it were me. Uh, how do you reconcile that? Because you got to have creative people at a company. You've got to have free spirits and people that want to try new things. The simple example is we want you to try new things, but then we won't give you permission to try any of those new things.
Michael, it is a difficult balance because and HR, human resources is often perceived as the department of no.
Yeah.
We're saying, no, you can't do this. No, you can't do this. So you have the legal, so we're the gatekeeper on the legal side, trying to keep the company out of the courtroom and out of the negative press. And then we're like almost every company, we're charged with kind of monitoring consistency. But the trap we often fall into, we confuse consistent with identical. And a true HR leader will say, don't confuse consistent with identical.
What do you mean
So
by that?
because there's rarely two situations that are identical. If somebody is presented with something, it said, well, that's not how we've handled it the last 10 times. Well, let's peel back the onion, and there is some slight difference.
There's a good chance
Uh,
that none of those 10 times were the same.
right. They were consistent. They were generally the same, but not identical. So we're going to give this situation a little more latitude.
Yeah.
Latitude, and the risk is somebody might say, "How come you let him know it. Well, guess what? Consistent and identical are not the same things. We're also the HR is kind of this. We're charged with maintaining the culture. Are the actions of our people and leaders, is it consistent with the culture as designed? And listen, we got an old outdated culture. Let's look at the culture. And at the same time, we want people to be creative because to your point, people, making others happy only goes so far. Okay. You have to make yourself happy. You have to find work that keeps you going. So the legal thing, we've got to be conscious so we don't make people fearful that they're going to break the law every time they make a decision.
Yeah.
I say to people, look, any decision is not likely to bankrupt the company. That is so remote. And if it's a decision that maybe wasn't thought out as well or had an unpredictable outcome, guess what? We take the learnings. But that's what companies should all be all about. Let's take the learnings from them, and if there was a negative impact, let's be mindful not to repeat it.
Well,
On the
that's the
other hand,
day-to-day MO in marketing. Marketing can never predict completely what's going to happen. We try it and then we learn from it. Adjust here, back off the spend, move more to social media. Nobody in marketing has a Ouija board.
yeah,
And so how great for you to say that nobody in any department has a Ouija board. We're always
yeah,
making
no, you're
adjustments and
absolutely.
learning.
In HR, we do things based on learning. We pick guidance based on learning, and not all the learnings in HR and the stuff that we do is ironclad. We're like anybody else. We're
Yeah.
trying what we think would be best in the interest of the organization and balancing the needs of the customers, the employees, and the business.
There is one absolute in HR, which is the safety training and safety measurements, the safety
Yeah.
report at the end of the year. And the absolute is we want zero people to get hurt this year.
Hmm.
There's no, that never changes. That's the goal. There's no adjustment. There's no learning from, well, there is learning when people get hurt, but we want that number to be zero every year. HR, I laughed when you said Department of No because I know the term HR police, and it is not a compliment.
Mm.
We need more people like you telling everybody, reminding everybody that HR is not there to police you. HR is not there to admonish you. They're there to actually ensure your career fulfillment. Look at it that way.
I would much rather be in a position to unscramble the egg after a decision was made, versus being in the situation where a leader will not make a decision or is
Yeah.
not willing to try anything new. Again, one decision is not going to break the bank. The other thing I foster, I tell leaders all the time, the best decision you will ever make is the one you delegated to someone on your team.
Mm.
Real easy to make all the decisions, and the junior leaders below you they're just followers, they're just implementers. You know, so you probably can guess the decision that one of your team members would make given the opportunity. Give them a chance.
Yeah.
Give
Well,
them
it
a chance
also
to make
allows
that
them to own it, right? They're not now
exactly.
they're not being thrust upon. They're actually owning the decision. There's perhaps more discussion now. There's that active engagement that we were talking about earlier, versus passive engagement. What'd you say the number was? 30, only 30% of people, of employees are actively engaged?
A third of the workforce.
Yeah, that's an astounding number. What's next on the HR frontier, Rich Salon? I imagine AI is going to be in the mix.
Yeah, like anything. I mean, with AI, you can utilize it for employee communications, creating training materials, staying up on what's the competition doing. AI is going to be part of any department out there. But one thing I see, and I'm particularly excited about, is when I come across a company who actually pays their employees to go out and provide community service. And if it's one day a month, that's extremely rich. But even if it was only one day a quarter, we're going to pay you. You find a community project out there, charitable organization, be it a Rotary Club, which you and I are part of, and you dedicate your day and you go enjoy the day, make a difference out there, and come back. And public image, that's wonderful for the organization, but you're giving the person the chance to contribute to make something outside of work better. You've also created a little sense of variety for the person too by letting them work outside of work for the day.
Rich, are there
I see more
statistics
companies
on,
doing it.
oops, I'm sorry.
I see companies doing that a little bit more.
Okay, good. There must be statistics. It's probably asking too much for you to uh, have it at the top of your head right now, but there must be statistics somewhere on what percentage of the companies they have this kind of a requisite where we insist that you take a day off a quarter or a day off a month or an hour off a week to go do service of some sort and give back. This would be a great marketing strategy for Rotary is to pitch that checkbox to to potential Rotarians, potential members. Then they take it to their boss and say, "Look what I'm interested in." And the boss goes, "Oh yeah, I've seen that somewhere. Let me dig through my HR paperwork. Oh yeah, we're supposed to send you off to do service work." I don't imagine it's a huge
I
percentage of
love it.
companies that are doing this right now.
But yeah, it's not something I've heard of with our Rotary. But what you described makes too much sense. Involve corporations because we say we invite them as often as we can, but are we really making that outreach?
Yeah,
That corporation, across town, hey, send your people out. We're cutting wood this Friday, firewood to give to to people who can't afford it. We're making Brunswick stew to give to the local food bank, whatever it is we're doing. And by the way, as in Rotary, we're always seeking more members. And what better way to get new prospective interested people into joining our clubs, invite them to participate in our service projects.
I love it. Very
Onto
eye-opening.
something.
I wish you were my HR guy when I only had a couple of jobs before I became this self-employed mess. But I wish you had been my HR person back in the day. This is Rich Salon, everybody. He's actually written three books. The first title was Career Trust. The second is called Unleashing Your Career. And the third title is The One Minute Jerk at Work. Tell us about that third title, the one you're shopping right now.
Absolutely. So everything that I do professionally follows my career purpose, which is helping people find the level of career fulfillment. If it's consulting, if it's on staff, whatever I do, career fulfillment, that's my thing. And unfortunately, being in HR and specifically being employee relations, I worked for a company, I was responsible for a group of 20,000 employees, the health and welfare of them and their employee engagement level. And I witnessed so much or witnessed and also received so many allegations of inappropriate behavior. By the way, we typically call it inappropriate behavior. For variety sakes, we'll call it offensive behavior, but
Sure.
let's call it what it is. It's jerk behavior.
Yeah.
So I wrote the 1 minute jerk at work with a goal to inspire people to stop tolerating inappropriate behavior towards them, because it when somebody acts up towards you, it hurts your morale. It might ruin your day, might ruin your week. It might cause a serious blemish because somebody was inappropriate. So the book, I took 26 personas. I took a common name with an offensive behavior, like Nasty Gram Nate, person who sends just annihilates you and embarrasses you with the emails. Then there's condescending Connie, pessimistic Pete,
Gotcha.
manipulating Molly, hollerating hollering Holly
Are any of
and
them
Joe.
named Michael?
Michael, you escaped this one, okay?
I'll
But
probably be in the
um,
second edition.
yeah, you're the people suggested sequels like When the 1 Minute Jerk is Your Boss or 1 Minute Jerk Works for You. Ooh. So anyway, those are
Could have a
probably
whole series of books on
probably
this.
coming down the line. But the book talks about not just the behavior itself. Yeah, sure, it describes the behavior, but we also talk about why the behavior exists. Is it possibly a blind spot? The person is having trouble at home. We talk about, potential interventions. It all fits on a one size fits one spectrum. Every situation is the different. And then the last part of the book talks about jerk strategies, jerk prevention strategies, and jerk prevention techniques. Like the no jerk rule. How easy is that? At your company, your department, institute the no jerk rule. It simply says you can't be a jerk.
Wow.
If you are going to be a jerk, we're going to tell you about it, and we expect you to stop being a jerk.
That would be the shortest HR manual ever. Don't be a jerk.
Funny you should mention that. There's list people have read this and they picked up and they called me and they said, companies, have this thing called the employee handbook,
Yeah.
and they're not as popular as they used to be, and too often they get outdated and you're looking at a 2016 copy. Rich, here's your new employee handbook.
That's
So
funny.
people have said issue that book to all your employees and say, you see these 26 jerk personas, don't be any of them. Problem solved.
Terrific. Is it my imagination or is the jerk frequency level ratcheted up now? Few people have fewer filters, people bringing personal problems to the workplace. I don't remember it being as bad as, or at the level that it's at now. Has it increased in the last decade?
Absolutely. Just in the last few years, just we're
Why?
using a term called incivility.
Why?
But during COVID, people got really, really comfortable about working at home. It changed their life. It gave them more free time and flexibility, and they could jump on the lawn tractor at 5:15 after finishing their work in their home office. And many people were forced to work from home, liked it, and then they thought it was an entitlement. Entitlement. I did the work successfully while I was at home for those 13 months.
Yeah.
Why can't I do it now? So that's created a bit of a bit of a rub.
I
That's
think
been the
there's another one which is there's a form of modeling going on. When we have celebrities and politicians who model that type of behavior, uh, I do think that it's kind of seeped into the corporate culture. It's seeped into personal behavior in shopping centers and stores where you're complaining about a piece of merchandise. You start to emulate the behavior that you're seeing on your device or on TV. Uh, I don't know that we're in the most civil environment that we've ever been in terms of politics and also celebrity. One of the most popular songs of the day, I can't use the title here because I have kids watching me, but one of the most popular titles here today is song titles, completely inappropriate. Would have never made the top 40 on Billboard, on Casey Kasem's top 40. But it's in the title of the song. Now, to get around it, I'll just use the acronym. She used WAP, right? And so we're this type of language and inappropriate behavior, lack of etiquette, lack of cachet,
Mhm.
can be a huge problem for HR departments.
You're exactly right. And we have to say that we're honest. Just because you heard it on TV, just because you saw it on TV, just because you saw it repeatedly, it seemed to be common play. That does not work here in our organization, and it's something that we fight. I mean, the
Yeah,
incivility within that you see on TV. Yeah, you can't do that at work. Guess what? You're going to lose your job, or you're going to get a final warning. You don't understand the trouble that cause that work. So we have two different standards. We have the work standard and we have what we're seeing in the media. And they're two
Yeah,
different worlds. They can't be overlapped.
yeah. Well,
No
I'm glad
way.
to hear that somebody's holding the quality standard high. Rich Salon, everybody. Rich, where can people buy your books, find out more about you, book you to help them achieve career fulfillment for their firm or their brand?
Sure, my books are published on Amazon. I enjoy people connecting with me on LinkedIn.
Okay,
If you type in Rich Salon or Rich the HR guy or the Jerk Authority, all those will get you to my LinkedIn profile. Connect with me, and it goes without saying, I hate to see talent wasted. I hate to see talent being underutilized. And if I can help you with your level of career fulfillment, just with a free piece of advice, um, I want to do it.
excellent. It's Rich Salon, everybody. Richsalon, just like this, the word salon. And what a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for all you do to help us understand the true mission of HR and help improve everybody's career fulfillment. You're a blessing to everybody that's out there in the workforce.
And Michael, thank you for this show. And in fact, I've got to tell you, one particular episode that you aired really meant a lot to me when you interviewed Barry Rassin,
Ah,
her former Rotary International president. Um, that was wonderful. Thanks for doing that.
my
That
pleasure.
that touched me.
My pleasure. Barry's got an interesting story, and I'm fortunate to interview so many people like you that have something interesting to offer. And I appreciate you being on today.
Great to be here. Thank you, Michael.
Bye bye.